All right. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to another post-match discussion. Milan reports. I'm here with my friend Sabrina after an exciting three-point win against Napoli, top of the table. How are you today, Sabrina?
Oh my God, it's so nice. We haven't had this kind of energy since what? Beginning of February? It's been about a month?
Yeah, we haven't been this excited since
Whew.
that win against Sampdoria. Season
Yeah.
ties. So, wow, what a win. Giroud, man of the hour, coming in clutch after taking on some blood and injury, what could have been a potential red card from Koulibaly, and finding the net off of a Calabria shot. So, wow, we have a lot to talk about. This match was very exciting, thrilling, anxiety, stress. I mean, man, it looked like a tennis match at one point, just going
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth. So, a lot to talk about, but we'll go ahead and just start here with yeah, what are your thoughts here after this great win, Sabrina?
I have to say, I was a little bit nervous because when Giroud scored, I thought, oh God, is this going to be like the last two? We're leading, seems like we're in control, and then we're just going to lose our heads and they're going to tie it. But Pierre Kalulu and Vic Tamori were amazing. Like my biggest worry, of course, was Osimhen coming into this game. I thought, he could terrorize us if we're not on our games. They completely nullified him. Those two and Benacer, I can't even decide which one is my man of the match because they were all so solid. So after a while, seeing them kind of mark him out of the game, I was like, I think 1-0 could win us this game. And it was a little dicey. Sometimes they did get some chances, but when you look back on it, they didn't really have any quality chances. And that's not for lack of trying. That is 100% down to our defensive work. And I think that's like my big takeaway from the game, a phenomenal defensive performance from the guys.
Well said. I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you there. It was an absolute phenomenal defensive performance with Kalulu and Tamori, absolutely just nailing it, crushing it, shutting down Osimhen. And I know we talked a lot in the previous podcasts about our defense, of how much it's been changed around. And even though all these changes, we've still been exceptional. And the Kalulu stepping up, not an original center back by trade, stepping up where needed. Again, proving to us that the uh, the Fikayo Tomori and Kalulu partnership is solid. And Admiral Hill, just going to go ahead and say, Kalulu and Tomori
Yeah.
partnership for the rest of the season has to be.
100%. Kalulu's earned it. I mean, I love Romagnoli, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately he got injured. And when you have a player like Kalulu that's going to come in and play the way he's playing, you can't bench him. There's no way. Like he needs to be, like Admiral said, playing with Tamori for the rest of the season.
All said, and I'll go ahead and start off with giving a recap here of the Serie A standing after today's win against Napoli. Right now, Milan are sitting at the top of the Serie A table with 60 points, played 28 matches. Inter, right behind us, played 27 matches, have 58 points. I think they're going up against Torino next in the Serie A, while actually Milan, we are Empoli, so history recently, at least short-term history against smaller teams, or I guess lower teams in the table, has not been so great. So this is hopefully an opportunity for us to go ahead and bounce back and show the mentality. And we'll get to that towards the end of the game. But let's go ahead and rejoice. Napoli fall to third place, sitting in 57 points, with Juventus creeping up on them, 53 points in fourth. So right now, the Serie A standings, a little bit of movement. We're at the top, and that's exciting. Any comments on the Serie A standings from you, Sabrina?
Well, I remember last week when we tied, Inter tied, and Napoli ended up winning late to Lazio. There's a lot of people who are saying Milan are out of it. Milan have just been sliding. They're no longer in the Scudetto race. And I thought, you know what? Give me this game against Napoli. Give me Milan against a big team, a strong team in a big match. And I thought, this will decide whether I think we still are in the running or not. And I was like, if we win, then we absolutely have a chance. The way things are going this season, it's unpredictable. I mean, next week the standings could be completely shuffled. It could be exactly the same. It could just be a little minimal movement, but it's really hard to predict. But seeing that result today, I mean, there's no way anyone can say Milan is not in this
Mm.
Scudetto race. So it's really tight, but 10 games. And like Benacer just tweeted, we got to treat every single game that we have from now till the end of the season like it's a final. So 10 finals to go. And hopefully they'll take this mentality, this great win, and say, okay, can't afford to mess up anymore. 10 to go. And I mean, let's face it, 10 wins in a row is probably not going to happen, but let's not lose points where we should be gaining them. And yeah, just let them worry about what they have to do, and we just have to worry about ourselves, because this race is really heating up.
Well said. I really like the fact that you said we have 10 finals to go here. I'll have to go ahead and check out the tweet here from Benacer. But a quick recap of the game. Lots of yellow cards, lots of stop and play. Pioli, first of the Milan team to go ahead and get the yellow card early in the match. Truthfully, I couldn't really understand why. I didn't really see much. I thought it probably was him out of his technical area and just yapping a lot.
I
I didn't
think he
really
was freaking out because of the Benacer non-penalty call. Because like a lot of people were saying, oh, that would be soft if he gave it. But at the end of the day, what's a penalty? Benacer headed the ball down, so it's not like the ball went to either side or went out. And as he was running towards it, and it was right in front of him, Koulibaly impeded his progression. So is it soft? I thought that should have been a penalty. And rightly so, Pioli's losing his mind because, we haven't had the best of luck with referees of late.
Mhm.
So I understand him freaking out like that. But for right off the bat to get a yellow like that, I mean, I guess Orsato is just trying to keep everything in check.
Right.
But I mean, his decisions are baffling. So I thought it was a bit harsh to give him a yellow right away in the first half. It's just a coach. It's not like a dangerous tackle that you want to set a precedent. It's
Right.
just a coach. But I totally understand him freaking out that wasn't even at least looked at.
By VIR.
Hmm.
VAR didn't even go ahead and give the consideration to go ahead and look at the monitor here, anything. I don't understand his level as to what is considered a dangerous tackle inside the box for him to go ahead and consider the penalty kick. And to me, it looked like Benacer might have still had possession of the ball, an opportunity to go ahead and at least contest, to go ahead and maybe to get a shot off of goal or ball back into
Hmm.
the box. But yeah, it was definitely impeded by Koulibaly there. Based on your thoughts, Sabrina, it sounds like you think it should have been a penalty.
Yep, absolutely do.
I agree as well. I definitely thought we should have gotten a penalty there. I understand it was, still early in the match, but moments like that, can go ahead and change the game. And I don't know. I still am thankful that Milan got the 3 points. So looking back in hindsight, I guess it's okay that we didn't get the penalty. But I will say it's not okay that we didn't score 2 goals. There was a moment
Yep.
we'll go ahead and touch on that hopefully will go ahead and not bite us in the butt later in the season. But Koulibaly getting the yellow card later in the first half on a challenge on Giroud. And Giroud pointing at the referee, come take a look here with the medical
Hmm.
staff, because Giroud, if you saw his lower half of his leg, he was bleeding, and there was a cut there, kind of implying the fact that this kind of injury only happens with studs. Again, yellow, red card. Sabrina, thoughts there?
Well, I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he clearly didn't do it on purpose," but that's no longer a factor when the referee's making a decision. It doesn't matter if you didn't mean to do it; you did it, so it's dangerous and it was unnecessary. You go in, you're wearing metal studs, and to see after, because I think even Koulibaly was like, "Oh, what? That's not a big deal," and I think that's why Giroud turned around and showed, like, "You're trying to say this isn't a big deal? Look at my leg." Like, I would be very surprised if he doesn't end up needing stitches. So, I mean, again, VAR, maybe for me, I'm not a referee. I don't know the rules inside and out. That to me looked like a dangerous enough tackle to warrant a red. But VAR has the opportunity to review that. If it's a possible red card, they have the opportunity to review that and tell the ref to go and take a second look himself. So again, even if it turned out to still be a yellow card by the rules or whatever, why is he not going to take a second look?
Mm.
Because that was very dangerous. And you saw Drew seemed like he wanted to carry on because he knows Ibra is not fully fit yet,
Right.
and it was so early in the game. And when they wrapped up his leg, when he stood up, you could see that it was already starting to bleed through the bandage like minutes later. So you could see him like laboring around after that. I mean, kudos to him for still scoring with that kind of injury, but to me, that's dangerous play. That would have been a red in my book. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, well said. And I'm going to follow up with Osama's comment here that
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Rosado always ignores the VAR. That's, I think, two situations in the first half that he missed the opportunity to go even take a look. The
Yep.
Benacer. I thought maybe after the Benacer missed call and controversy, that maybe he would go ahead and start to double check his calls if there was something like that that was controversial. Who knows? Maybe if this was at the San Siro and the fans were loud, a lot of that pressure could have been on him to,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Giroud's bleeding, and maybe I should go ahead and have a second look. But just as Osama has said here, Osata always ignores VAR, and it looks like he did that in the two times in the first half there. I'll go ahead and move on. We go into the halftime. Yeah, scoreless here. 4 minutes added extra time due to Giroud's injury. But although he was limping towards the end of the first half, I thought, man, he could be more of a liability out on the field. You brought it up. Maybe he didn't want to go ahead and come off. Ibrahimovic is still not fully 100% fit. Rebic not a true number 9 by heart. So the options were kind of limited. Thankfully, you go into the half. Medical team is taking a look at him because I don't know what they gave him, but he came out and scored a goal about 5 minutes later into the second half. Giroud in the right place at the right time. Calabio trying to go ahead and have a volley outside the box and that being redirected. And I want to go ahead and point out this comment here from Faterio that Giroud, I lost it. Giroud is a big game player. Two
Mm-hmm.
goals against Inter, two against Lazio, one against Napoli, and all wins there. So and
Yep.
Gi- when it comes to the big games, I think Giroud, this is his first goal away from the Serie A. I think I heard him, as I was listening to the game, they were saying that. So definitely the man of the hour when needed to go ahead and step up after injury. I don't know. Hopefully that this gets looked at a little bit more. If he needs stitches, he's only missing some days at practice. Definitely an important player for this Milan side to try to go ahead and win the Scudetto this year and going forward. I don't know. I think Ibra is still not 100% fit, so you don't want to go ahead and get him going. And Giroud here, hopefully, again, this is super minor because I don't know other strikers that we can go ahead and put up there right now, or even change the formation. So, um,
Yep.
yeah, I'll go ahead and say here. Looking at our lineup here, we lined up with Mike Magnan in the back, who was able to go ahead and control his box. I thought he was still pretty dominant in the air to wrap up some of those crosses that Napoli players. I think that drop against Salernitana really they really put some effort into that in the training ground of Milanello to go ahead and get comfortable with that, especially as more fans are being allowed in games. It's going to get louder, and you really have to go and be vocal. And you can just see the energy from Tomori and Kalulu. They're very, I don't know, they're very focused into the game that, something like if you're not loud screaming for it, they might not go ahead and hear that. But he showed dominance, and I think I think we're not going to go ahead and go with the ratings today until we go ahead and get the rating pictures up. So we'll go ahead and continue with the rest of the defense. Unless you have anything to say, Sabrina and Mike.
No, I mean, he wasn't super busy, but at the same time, he could have, if he wasn't as concentrated as he was, he could have let a few slip in. The best thing I liked about him is that he wasn't taking any chances. There was a lot of shots that were, you could tell they were going off target, but he didn't just assume they were going off target. He made sure he was covering his post. So I really liked his concentration throughout this game. And I mean, if not, it could have gone a little bit worse. So even if you know the other team's not threatening, it's always good to still have your head in the game, and he absolutely did today.
Well said. I'll go ahead and move over. Calabria at right back with Kalulu and Tamori partnership in the middle, and then Theo Hernandez on the left hand side. Theo Hernandez playing phenomenal again, continues to be an attacking threat on that left hand side. But he picked up the yellow card, so I believe he will be missing the next match
Yep.
against Empoli. Um, and we talked about the Kalulu and Tamori partnership, just how phenomenal and absolutely of a brick wall they are. But over at Calabria, he was our captain starting the match, did get the assist for Giroud, but I thought some of his crosses were a little disappointing. I thought
Yeah.
out of some of the players, maybe he wasn't up to speed mentally to go ahead and get started. Maybe in the second half, he was showing a little bit better signs defensively. But man, he definitely, I don't want to go ahead and say that he sucked in the first half, but he was just kind of like not super exciting, not definitely.
He
Um,
struggled a bit in the first half for sure.
yeah, I'll go ahead and say that he struggled a little bit, but when he came off, the captaincy band, I don't know if you noticed, was given to Kessie.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the pivot in the middle, we played again finally Benacer and Tonali. I know that we didn't get to see that in the Coppa Italia with Tonali being out with the yellow, and then I think the previous match Benacer or was out with injury. I don't remember exactly, but I think this is finally the partnership that we've been talking about here, Sabrina, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful to watch Benacer just shine under the light of this
Hmm.
game and just letting Tonali dictate the game from a little bit deeper.
Yep.
Um, wow. Any words on those two?
Yeah, you could definitely tell that Pioli asked Tonali to sit a bit deeper, and it was wise, I think, too, because he knew that he was telling his two center backs to go 2-on-1 versus Osimhen every time. So if you're going to do that, that leaves another player open, which Napoli could have exploited. But you saw Tonali sitting really deep there and being really solid defensively. And Benacer was just like a menace in the midfield. He was just winning balls, transitioning quickly to the forwards. He was excellent. Like that is the Benacer that we all know and love. He's finally healthy, touch wood. He's doing everything he needs to. And like, even if you consider both teams, he was the best midfielder on the pitch and they couldn't stop him. There's nothing that they could do aside from knock him down. That's literally the only thing they could do. But he was absolutely stellar. And I'm looking forward to more Benacer performances like that because it was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, after last week, excuse me, after against Inter, he was man of the match, controlling the game. But this one, he was definitely shining more. And we talked about what that midfield will look like if Kessia, Tonali, Benacer were all able to go ahead and play. And just as we predicted, Kessia did kind of play that 10 role. He did come back at times, again, when Tonali was playing deeper. So it kind of looked like Tonali was a little bit there by himself. And then
Mm-hmm.
the two. But Kessia at the 10. Um, Kind of gave us that balance in terms of he shut down a lot of Fabian. I thought Fabian, I mean, he's been having a great Serie A season this year. So he's definitely a player that I've been hyping up for the Spain national team. So definitely kind of
Yeah.
seeing him struggle today. It was a balance of good and bad, but that's what you have for having a defensive midfielder, a player with defensive characteristics, play that 10 role to kind of play a little bit deep and support not only Giroud, but at the same time to put that press there and to go ahead and get that started. And with that being said, move over to the front three. Leao on the left hand side, Giroud up top, and then Messias on the right wing. And that was our starting lineup, and we saw Ante Rebic come in, Krunic come in, Salamakers come in, and Florenzi. I giggle a little bit at Salamakers because he continues to bring banter content. I know that it's starting
Yeah.
to pile up these chances that he's missing. I mean, I'm just going to put up a few comments from chat here with Salamakers just because we could have had a 2-0 lead if we didn't get that penalty kick. I think he probably might have even had time to take a touch. But those misses could come back to haunt us. Um, any words on that chance missed by Alexis, Sabrina?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to like we were saying, before, poor decision making. He has the talent. Yeah, that's exactly it, Dre. We would have had the head to head. So if it does come down to that at the end of the season, we'll look back at this and say, my God, we could have had that lock on them. But I mean, you get the ball, you have to be aware of your surroundings as you're receiving it, not when you receive it. So you see that Teo's coming, you see he's marauding forward, you know he's going to cross it in because he wasn't at an angle to shoot. So before that ball even gets you, take a quick look around, look over your shoulder, look what's happening, look who's coming into you. He could probably taken 5 seconds to stop, control the ball, and pick that right shot. Because I know in the end, yes, it was just that Ospina got a hand to it, whatever. But at that point in that area with no pressure, that has to be a goal. You're an attacking player. And I think that we're even more hard on him because these misses have happened before and he hasn't produced the way he should have. I think he only has one goal this season and it was against Salernitana. So it's like we need to bury those chances. And we could have been in a situation where if Napoli were to equalize, we could have looked back and said that could have been the difference between a tie and a win. So we have to just take matters into our own hands. We have to finish those type of chances. And I don't know what it is with him, if it's just some kind of mental block, but it's something that he really needs to work on because we can't have this the next 10 games. We're playing some pretty tough teams, like not top of the table teams, but we're playing teams that are really scrappy, really talented. We can't miss chances like that. It's I feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, it's like, when is enough enough? But at the same time, Macias kind of had a stinker today too. So it's like, what are we supposed to do
Oliver
here?
forwards.
Yeah.
Well, so Sabrina, and I mentioned this in our previous stream. We were asking, is Alexis going to go ahead and get the minutes because although he was, a threat on that right hand side against Perisic and getting some crosses in, although they weren't good crosses, he missed a few chances that we talked about. That if he put those away, that he would definitely go ahead and get the nod from Pioli to go ahead and get the minutes and be an attacking threat if we need against Napoli. He did get the minutes today, and he also get the opportunity. Did miss the opportunity, and now I know that we continue. At least us, also the fan base. It's being said all these jokes, but at the end of the day, we want to go ahead and start, asking some serious questions because is that a chance that Brahim Diaz misses? He didn't get the minutes today, and he could go ahead and slide onto that wing side. But Salamakers, performed, I guess, a little bit good against Inter. So you do go ahead and give him that opportunity. Messias wasn't really that exciting today. I thought he struggled a little bit
Mhm.
towards the end of the second half when he needed to come off. His tired legs were showing. He played a little bit deeper back because I don't know, maybe he couldn't keep up with the pace of the attack on the flank. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and put the comment up again. All of our forwards need to go ahead and continue
Yeah.
to put away their chances. At least it's nice that we didn't go ahead and fully rely. Wow, I almost choked on my words because it's so hard. Rely on the Leao left hand side. So,
Yeah.
although we did go ahead and continue to come through and originate some of our attacks, which by the way, Leao played phenomenal in taking on the 2v1s.
Yep.
He
Oh
was
yeah.
his footwork is phenomenal. I mean, his ability to go ahead and make a move look so simple and then just get by a defender. And today showed that he can get by two
Yeah.
defenders. Which
Just
go ahead.
burning them that it's impossible to recover from. It's not like he's just getting around them and they're able to quickly turn and track him. There were so many times where he faked them out so badly that they just by the time they were able to recover and turn around, he was already gone. So he's really learning how to work under pressure, which is good because for sure Spalletti said to his team, like Pioli said to his center backs, go 2-on-1 versus
Mhm.
Osimhen. Spalletti probably said the same thing about Leao. And I mean, you get a little bit disappointing in the finishing and also giving Giroud those balls because he was getting balls in the area, but a lot of the times they went right to Koulibaly. They weren't really that great, but It comes with time. I mean, we can't expect Leao to be 100%,
Hmm.
taking this team on his shoulders every game. So he had a really good game, amazing footwork, and he just continues to be like a danger for us on that left side. So it was really nice to see that today.
Well said. I'll go ahead and throw this up there for the chat here. We'll go ahead and answer any questions for the last 5 minutes here. We don't have any player ratings we can go ahead and throw up for today's stream. But if you watch the game, you can go ahead and rate your own players just because every single one, almost not almost every single one played really well. I think today the mentality was definitely there,
Hmm.
and it started from the top all the way to the back with Giroud, bleeding, standing up, giving all he had still, and then Maignan, and Fikayo Tomori and Kalulu in the back, just showing that they are an impenetrable force. I wish I remembered who said that last week. It stuck with me now, and it's probably going to go ahead and stick with me for the rest of the season if we're going to go ahead and see this back line. Um, any final thoughts here? Any discussion points you want to go ahead and bring up, Sabrina, on today's match?
Yeah, I think it was nice to see Ibra get some minutes too, because
Mhm.
we might need him. He might need to play a lot more minutes if Giroud's injury is serious, because it did look kind of serious. It looked like he kind of got his foot and ankle tangled up in the grass. So if he is out, we'll definitely need Ibra to step in and fill in. Good to see that Rebic too. I mean, he didn't score or anything like that, but he was much less of a liability than he has been in the previous games. He wasn't being too reckless. He wasn't giving the ball away. So it was nice to see at least from him like coming into the game a little more, because we'll definitely need to rely on him as well, because there's absolutely no way that Ibrahimovic can play a full 90 coming back from a lengthy injury. So encouraging signs for sure. A very few disappointing performances. Unfortunately, we'll be without Teo for the Empoli game, but it was so nice to see that once he knew that he was already suspended for the following game, how freely he played. I think in the first half he was a little bit cautious because it was like, I might get that yellow card. And once it happened, it's like, vintage Teo
Hmm.
making those runs. Like he was great too. So it'll be a loss to be without him for the Empoli game, but at least I mean, I know there's no easy games for this team, but at least it's against Empoli and not a different side. So unfortunate, but a little bit of a silver lining there.
With that said, Sabrina, a question for you. Who starts at left back next game?
Well, we can't move Kalulu. I honestly think he'll just put Florenzi there. I mean, I don't like playing players out of position. And I mean, even Florenzi playing at right back is technically him playing out of position. But to move him on the other side, it didn't really work out last time. His crosses were off because that's just not his position. But we haven't seen Baloture play in such a long time. I mean, it's kind of hard to take that gamble on him when we haven't seen him get minutes. So I think he'll play Florenzi, and then if it's just not working out, maybe he'll put in Baloture, and hopefully that won't be a big point of contention, because I mean it is just Empoli from a team that was playing really strongly at the start of the season. They've really dropped off a lot lately. So I know this is team struggles. We struggled against Salernitana, but this should be a professional, easy, maybe not easy, but a professional, composed win. And hopefully, Teo not being there won't be a deciding factor anyway.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with you on that last statement. I think Theo not being there should not be a defining factor, but I'm also going to agree that I think Florenzi is going to be playing a left back. Balotelli, you mentioned he has not gotten the minutes, so is Empoli the time to go ahead and give him the minutes? I don't think so, especially, I mean, the Scudetto race is getting closer and closer, and it's getting towards the end of the season. Worst comes to worst, Alexis Salamaker's. So I don't know, but I think it is going to go ahead and be a Florenzi. And I'll go ahead and just move on here with Chilis' comment saying Benacer or Kalulu, man of the match. Macias, the worst. Great life story, but he isn't a Milan caliber player.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's I think we're all a bit divided because he has been offering a bit more than Salamakers.
Hmm.
But if we're looking at it not as the choice between the two, just is he good enough? I'm sorry, he's just not. I mean, he would be, even if we were to get a stronger right wing, if this is a side that wants to win, like challenge for the title every year and be competitive in the Champions League, then unfortunately Macias is just not, it's not, he's not even a backup for Milan. I appreciate what he's done for us. I appreciate his story. But if we're just looking at it objectively and not a choice between him and Salamakers, then no, he's not Milan caliber. I'll agree with Chillis.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move over to Dr. Shrifty. Wants us to go ahead and remind us that next week Inter play away against Torino after playing Liverpool, and Napoli play in Verona. So to go ahead and keep our heads high as we go ahead and go into our next match against Empoli. Um, well said. Hopefully Inter go ahead and drop some points against Torino. Juve did, so why shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
Inter, especially playing after Liverpool?
Yeah.
See here. Terrio wanted to go ahead and say he agreed that Florenzi should go ahead and be one of the options to go ahead and play at left back here. But Adam Hill wanted to go ahead and say that we should only sign Macias in being included in the Berardi deal.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I do not want to give up Pobega. I saw that's what they were, people were rumored to say that that's what they were asking. I don't want to give him up to get Berardi, but if we could give up someone else to get Berardi, Cash and Macias, like no brainer. I'll do that any day of the week without thinking twice.
Yeah, well said. I definitely, it felt like we spent this whole year being excited for the return of Pabega, and I don't want him to go ahead and
Yeah.
come back just from, to be part of a deal to go ahead and bring Berardi. Berardi, a great player, Serie A proven. I would like to see him in a Rossoneri shirt, but if we could include Macias in the deal, Admiral, we're all going to agree with you. Well said. Should only go ahead and sign him if he's included in the deal. But that will go ahead and conclude all the comments and questions here in the chat. I hope you guys were super excited coming off this 1-0 victory against Napoli. We are at the top of the Serie A
Yes.
table. Very exciting. And again, I just want to go ahead and thank you guys for joining me, Riccardo, and Sabrina on this Milan Reports post discussion. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.